Welcome to another episode in Shaco's Thought Leadership Series. I'm your host, Dan Kui. I'd like to invite all of you to welcome our guest. I have Kumar Senthil and Brian DeMello from Firmly.ai. How are you guys?
Wonderful. Thank you, Dan, for having us.
Great. Kumar, you are Firmly CEO, and you were previously at the head of Samsung's global e-commerce, and you also built the Groupon Goods platform. Brian, you are the VP of Partnerships and Go-to-Market Strategy for Firmly. You previously were with Salesforce, and I know that you manage some of the world's top agencies like Omnicom and Dentsu. So Kumar, I'd like to start with you. You left the security of a big company, and which was Samsung, and you went to start your own venture, your own startup. Tell me about that. Why did you do that?
Absolutely. I always tell this story because when I was at Samsung, a lot of partners would come and pitch different ideas to me saying, hey, we want to help sell your product in different places. And the moment I ask them, what do I have to do? There'll be a laundry list of integrations that I have to do to enable, right? So then I say, okay, now you pick a number and stand in the line because my engineers are busy for next 18 months. There's no way we're going to get it done, right? That was actually becoming a little frustrating for me because I also want to try new things, try different things to see if, it would be interesting for the consumers to purchase the product that way. And I also was advising a bunch of other merchants at that time. They also had the same problem. Man, how do we solve this problem? And that's when I had a thought saying, gosh, why can't we build a layer on top of all these e-commerce platforms in a way that they don't have to do anything so that we can easily turn on new scenarios without the merchant doing anything, right? So I always tell that I don't want to talk to the engineers, even though I love them. I just want to talk to the marketing guys, right? So that we can turn on interesting things without, going through this hassle. That's how I felt like that is a compelling product that is needed for the market. So I said, okay, I can't be here as a Mr. No all the time saying Mr. No. Let me become a Mr. Yes.
I think I met you in one of those Samsung meetings I've attended in the past. No, go away.
It's possible, right? So that's where I was hating myself becoming Mr. No. So I wanted to be, help these marketers across, everywhere to just remove the shackles they have so that they can try things. Right before this meeting, I was just talking to someone on Comcast who left Comcast, but she was saying, this is your talk, preaching to the choir, because I always wanted to try something, but then the engineers would say, you have to wait for 2 quarters, and I have to commit for certain revenue numbers and or not. I don't even know whether it's going to work or not. How am I going to commit for numbers?
Yeah.
And so that is a big challenge for the marketers. And especially if you're in a corporate job, you have to stick your neck out to even launch something new, right? And if it works, great. There are a lot of fathers for the success. But then if it didn't work out, then you have to take the blame, right? So that's where influenced me to say, okay, I need to help all these guys who are struggling. That's where we ended up building this.
Yeah, that's great. And so that was the genesis of Firmly AI, and you built a team up. And Brian, you guys both have great backgrounds for discussing what we're going to discuss today, which centers around optimizing ad spend. And you know what? I love your tagline, which is make every impression shoppable.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure a lot of people are curious as to what that means. So tell us about it. What do you mean by make every impression shoppable? I'm sure it has something to do with spontaneous decisions and I, as a shopper, needing to get things done at the moment.
Yeah, I think we're in a very interesting world right now where, shopping now is very different than it used to be, right? So you can shop in any channel. A lot of people's shopping journey started in like social, or you're getting email bombarded, text messages, loyalty. There's all these different kind of channels and impressions that you see on a day-to-day basis. right? And then the shopper, the path to purchase is never that simple. In fact, I think we have a little video that kind of show you some use cases and kind of like what we're kind of talking about. Dan, if you want to show the video, I kind of go into like, what does it mean to make every moment shoppable and how we do that in a very, very impactful way.
Great. I'll run it now. All right. Well, there was a lot of information going through that text. So Brian,
sure.
you're going to have to run us through that a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there for sure. So let's just take it a step back. So if you think about like websites, how they're designed today, right? They're designed for engagement, right? So I go to a new brand that I may not have seen before. They want me to read their articles. They want me to understand who their brand is and all these different things. And then I can kind of shop at leisure, right? Add a couple things to the cart, 5 or 6 things. Then maybe I'm going to buy only 2 of those items. And that's kind of like a website kind of browsing experience. However, if you look at advertising and all these different channels, all these impressions are designed to create some type of emotional charge to that customer. And the advertising is made for 2 things, right? Go sign up for this service or go purchase this product, right? So once in your mind, you may have seen 20 different impressions of a product, and eventually it could be within a social, it could be within email, it could be within a live streaming, doesn't matter where, it could be in an app that Shako built, right? It doesn't matter, it could be in augmented reality. As soon as I see it and I want to buy that, we want to be able to make that as easy as possible to make that purchase happen. And that's where Firmly comes in. So we're helping you capture that moment.
Okay, so let me just back up a little bit because you went through that really quick, and sure. I think all the different platforms out there that consumers, I should say, get engaged with: video, live streaming, social platforms, print, publishing, ads, editorial, blog, those sort of things, messaging platforms, even fan experiences at sporting events. All of those, you folks can help create a very quick transaction, right, and turn it shoppable.
Absolutely. And we're doing it in 2 different ways. So I think one way is we have what we call Firmly Edge, right? So as soon as you click on an ad or an impression or scan a QR code, it essentially brings you to a PDP page that's like an exact replica of the site that you have. So it's very branded. We're a white label solution, so you don't even know Firmly's kind of generating this type of experience. And then we make it where it's seamlessly to make a checkout happen in that moment, right? And the other way is you could actually build native checkout solutions on top of our APIs. And Kumar will kind of go into like some of the different use cases that we're doing and we're seeing with a lot of our partners today. So Kumar, if you want to give a couple of examples of where you're seeing really cool innovation, where customers are building on top of our APIs, complete solutions.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear what the use cases are and what you're seeing from customers, and maybe customers that you'd like to gain in the future.
I mean, currently it's a little bit confidential, so I don't think I can quote the exact partner.
Broad strokes.
Well, wait a minute. Can we should create instantaneous NDA.
Yes.
So I can't quote the partner whom we're working with, a couple of partners, but that large partners. One of the partners is a social media platform where they want to make that every ad a shoppable ad, right? So which means they went through an RFP and they evaluated different players in our space, and then they concluded we are the best. Okay, so we're pretty proud of that because the key technical capability we bring to this platform is that zero change for merchants. Some of our competitors, so-called, they expect the merchant to give an API key. Okay, the moment you go and ask for an API key, it doesn't go anywhere. It stops right there, right? So we've been able to come up with this, our technology, where merchant doesn't have to do anything literally, and we can connect to it. But okay, so because we've been able to do that and give one standard set of API, very simple API that our partners can integrate into, now suddenly the checkout can happen anywhere. Okay, so the social media platform love it. Okay, great, perfect. We like it. Now we don't have to go and ask every merchant to integrate with us. Instead, just one integration with you guys. Now thousands of merchants can be enabled. They love that.
So I assume that that's also one of the things that sets you apart from Apple Pay and PayPal is the easy use of onboarding, right?
That is true. And plus, we don't compete with Apple Pay or PayPal or ShopPay or anybody because we just complement them, right? So we just enable, if you want to, we support PayPal, we support Apple Pay, we support ShopPay and other payment methods. And we are bringing in new payment methods as well, right? So Pays is one thing that's coming up, which is, a consortium of all the top 7 banks. Now, going and enabling each of these payment methods by individual merchants is cost exuberant. They just can't afford to do all this. Now we bring in that innovation for them without them doing anything, right? So that is where the value add comes in from Firmly, and make this experience super seamless for the consumers, right? And then the platforms now can know exactly who's buying what in a way that it helps them to target better, and which means the ROAS is going to go higher. The merchants are going to see the benefits, and so on, right? So that is where we add value for the whole value chain.
Great. And so some of what you said, you actually implied, and what you're saying there also starts dealing with third-party cookies that some people may or may not know. Consumers may not know about everything that's happening there. But certainly, I read one study that said 83% of marketers rely on third-party cookies. So what are you guys doing? What's that better mousetrap that you're building to help marketers meet their needs using first-party cookies? And maybe you better define third party, first party for those who aren't familiar with the terms.
Yeah. So if you go to, let's say, Google, and you searched for a backpack, now 5 minutes later you go to CNN and Fox News, whatever you like to read, you suddenly see a backpack from one of the brands that is selling backpack. Right now, how is this happening? Because now there is a cookie that gets set, which is now being traveling across wherever you're browsing, and then there is a bidding happens with that cookie, and whichever merchant bids highest, their product gets listed in the display ad in that website, right? Now, after this, these third-party cookies are getting deprecated, which means if a site A is setting a cookie, site B should not be able to read it. If they can read it, that is where the third-party cookie comes in. That is getting abolished, basically.
Yes.
Right? So which means now there is no way to track this, what this customer is doing and whatnot. That is going away. And it's getting phased out, right? Now, what we're saying is, okay, the social platforms and others can have first-party data instead of relying on third-party data, third-party cookies. So that way, they know that they are able to transmit the order to the merchant seamlessly. Plus, now the merchant is getting their order, they're getting the first-party data as well. So there's no issue for the merchant. We're not creating any problem in the value chain for anybody. We're actually enabling the whole value chain, right? So that everybody is happy. Marketers are happy because they get the ROAS, but they expect it to happen. So that way, there's no confusion here. And consumers also get a great shopping experience, and they know exactly where their data is.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
just
oh,
add to
go
that,
ahead,
Dan,
Brian.
sorry. So from like a ROAS perspective, right? So one of the challenges with the third-party cookie going and everyone kind of pivoting to this whole entire like CDP type of thing, and everyone's trying to collect all this data, and so they understand who their customers are, they can make this personalized experience. So once that goes away, the ability, like Kumar was saying, to track where those customers are is going to be very, very challenging. That's why you're seeing the cost of acquisition, of customer acquisition, going up a lot, right? Because attribution costs are going through the roof, because I could go on, a social platform, then I can go on an email, then I can go on an editorial. I can go to 5 different things and then maybe make a purchase on the website. And those 5 different channels are going to want attribution credit for that sale, right? So what we're providing is the ability to, instead of having to need to go to 5 different channels to make a purchase, within that channel that you're there, we can close the loop on attribution at the SKU level right there. And then you're going to be getting attribution right in that channel, and then that's sent. So in this particular case, the channel gets the first party data, but since we're not a payment processor, we're a checkout facilitator, we're just pushing that order directly to the website, and then it's going through their order management system. So the merchant is still the merchant of record, and they are still also collecting that first party data, right? So that's very, very big differentiator than what we're seeing.
So, um, can you talk about, we mentioned briefly some of the use cases, but maybe Brian, from a sales perspective, maybe you can comment a little bit more on where you're actually seeing some of the things that you've talked about today.
For sure. So so I think there's a couple of different avenues, right? So from like a merchant perspective, so if I'm a brand, right, essentially what we're able to do is provide increased transactional reach, right? So you may be able to only, and a lot of brands can't really integrate into in some of these social platforms. Some of them can, depending on what platform they're on, but some custom platforms, these other platforms, it's complex. So they have an API integration. To Kumar's point, they have an entire team to manage an entire integration. So all these different new partnerships that we have and that we're getting, one integration with us, that now merchant could have access to any of these new channels that we're bringing without them doing anything. So we're providing them transactional reach into new territories, new apps, new channels. All right. So from a merchant perspective, that's huge. And then from a marketing perspective, you can now understand your customers' shopping behaviors in all these different channels. So you understand where to put that marketing spend, right? What's going to be the most effective? Where are my customers shopping? Now you'll have a complete visibility into it. So that's kind of like one bucket. The other bucket is kind of like these platforms that Kumar's talking about. So we have like social platforms, we have ad tech platforms. We also have like publishers that we see are a really big kind of use case, where if I'm reading an editorial and I see that, top 10 blenders out there, right? And then as soon as I click on that today, where do you typically go, Dan? 2 options, right? You're going to get redirected to Amazon, or you get redirected to Walmart. You're probably not going to the brand or the merchant that should be getting that customer, right? So what if you were, one of those brands like Ninja, the Ninja blenders or whatever it is, and you click on it and that order gets placed right to the site. So now you're capturing that customer. And now you could, instead of competing with the Amazons and the Walmarts of the world, you can now capture that customer and market to them, right? So it's very, very powerful for like the publishers to collect that first party data. And then from a publisher perspective, once they understand who their shoppers are, who are people purchasing on their stuff, they can think about it from an advertising, right? Now they can go into advertisers and say, we have all these customer segments that are purchasing these types of things. So now your advertising dollars can be directed to an audience that we know is the audience that you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It certainly allows allows the brand to take more control of the overall process here, and
sure.
Instead of just worrying about where the money is going to be scattered across all the different players that happen to be out there. And I can tell you that, as a consumer myself, I'm tired of getting on to Facebook and seeing an ad, and and there's something of interest, and I click on it and it leads you down a rabbit hole, right? And then you don't know if you're going to be spammed later on, or information's being transferred. It's just not a good experience.
Or even worse, Dan, you buy that product, and then the next day you see the same ad. You're like, hey, I just bought this. What's going on?
That's
right? Talk about a waste of marketing dollars, right?
That's right.
And the other thing, one point I want to add on is, when we say new channels, that today is, you don't even imagine as a brand. Okay, for example, let's just take, I'm throwing a hypothetical example here. All Trails is an app. Okay, they don't sell anything today other than just a subscription for the maps or whatever that is, the trail maps. Right. Now imagine now I wanted to look up on trails and whatnot. Now I need a hiking shoe. Now I have to go somewhere else to go search for it and find a hiking shoe wherever it is. And instead, think of a curated small micro marketplace within the app. We can enable that. And
Yes.
it's not a year-long integration. Now the apps can now start selling these curated products in their app, which is contextual to that. Right. So now as a merchant, now I get a new reach to this new audience, millions of users who can see my product and they get to know my brand and purchase product right there. Right. And as a merchant, I don't have to do anything as a merchant. We can open it up. So that is where, the apps are developed by Shock, and we can partner with those apps and enable commerce in those. Because if I'm an app owner, if I want to enable commerce, I have to be merchant of record, I have to be PCI compliant, I've got like fraud management, there's like 10 other things I have to manage, which means it's not a small the thing to do. I have to do major work to business model I have to develop to do it. Whereas if you just integrate our APIs, within few weeks, your app can become an e-commerce app with contextual products, right? So that is the beauty of things that we can enable as new channels.
Yeah, I a lot of what you talked about, you can, it only takes a few minutes to understand that there are a lot of benefits here for the brands to get involved with you guys and utilize your product. So with that, what do you want merchants to do to get ready for Christmas? How do you think, what suggestions you want to give them and to reach out to you and talk to you and maybe give them some ideas of how to take advantage of this before the holidays?
Yeah, just definitely. I mean, if you are advertising anywhere, work with us, we will drive conversion higher, right? So far, with the merchants we've worked, we've been able to double the conversion. So we're pretty proud of that. And so that is a very innovative approach we're taking, and we can help you drive conversion that way your ad dollars go further, right? So that is number one we can do. Number two, start working with us, because now as we start opening up new channels, we will enable it for you. Because I was talking to one of the merchants we've been working with, they're saying, Kumar, I love what you're doing. My marketing dollars are going further, but can you help me to take to new destinations, new places where I cannot market today? I said, absolutely. That's what we're working towards. So that way we can make sure your products are made visible to new set of eyes, which you've never been. We can do that, right? And all of this is possible without any integrations you have to do. We will take care of all the integrations, right? So that is the benefit we can bring in, and we're not going to break your bank. Let's be clear on that, right? So we make it easy to work with, and just we get it up and running within few days, and you can start testing new things which you will not be able to do in your current infrastructure.
Well, I don't think you can ask for more than that. That's pretty quick. Ramp up speed very quick, and results within a short period of time. Brian, what about any potential partners out there? What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, I think we're definitely a partner-centric kind of company, right? So our go-to-market strategy, coming from a partner background, is more partner-focused led, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunity for partners to build solutions on top of our APIs. We're working with one of the larger GSIs that's building a marketplace from scratch today to one of the larger banks, which is very, very exciting. So I think there's a lot of great services, innovation that people could bring to their customers. And then our platform and publisher partners, I think there's a lot of new revenue streams that we can kind of help in this new market and all these new changes. We can kind of help you guys navigate through that. And we're excited to kind of start having more partner conversations.
Awesome. Well, look, guys, the benefits, as a moderator here are clear to me for both the brand and the consumer. And I think you guys are going to have a very, very busy holiday season. I want to thank you guys for attending today. And I want to thank the audience for attending this episode in Shaco's Thought Leadership Series. We invite you all back again. Kumar, Brian, thank you very much. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon.